Surrey County Council proposals to shut recycling centres in Bagshot, Cranley, Dorking and Wallingham.
They're looking at ways to save more than £200 million in the next 3 years. Joining us now is Surrey County Councillor Mike Goodman, Cabinet Member for Environment and Transport. So, good morning to you, Mike. We heard from Dr Andrew Povey earlier. He says that if Cranley Centre does shut, the alternative centres are too far away. What do you say to that?
Well, what I would first of all say is that Surrey County Council has been well documented on serious financial pressures, and we need to review all our services, and one of the services we're reviewing is the CRCs. And I know that we looked at this last year, but we are in a much worse position now financially, so we have to look at it and consider what we could do with all our CRCs. My answer to Andrew's point is that before any decision is made, this consultation, and I know you've already mentioned it, is really key to hear from all the residents on what they think of it and how they would be affected. And all this will, I promise you, be taken into consideration. So I don't think I want to just talk about one CRC. I'm going to talk about the whole gambit of the CRCs right across Surrey, and every single person that writes in, we will take notice of them.
OK, well, let's talk about them on the whole then. Dr Povey says the demand for the centres is going to increase in the future as we build more houses. Do you think that's true?
He's absolutely right. And one thing we are doing is looking on our CRCs and putting a formula in on what will happen to the increased number of houses in Surrey over the next 10 to 20 years, because it would be wrong for us to close the CRC only to find we have a deficiency in 5 years' time. So that work will go in over the next few months before any decision is made. But what I would say is over the course of the last year, there's 24,000 tonnes of less waste coming into Surrey than there was a year ago.
But people do say this will lead inevitably to more fly tipping.
Yes, I understand that, and I have every sympathy of those comments, but the same comments were said to me a year ago, 2 years ago. What I can say in Surrey, because of the fantastic strategy we have with fly tipping across Surrey, we have seen 1,000 tonnes less fly tipping over the last 2 years. We must remember the vast majority of people in Surrey are honest, law-abiding citizens, and any fly tipping is a criminal act.
And going back then to the consultation that you said, obviously it's very important for people to engage with. It has 3 options, and Cranley closes in all of them.
Well, what we're saying, I've had the same in my own division in Bagshot, because I'm Bagshot, Chobham and Windlesham County Councillor. What we're saying is, what is your views if we were to close it? So in each scenario, yes, they're in there, but it does not, and I want to stress this today, it doesn't mean that's what we're going to do. What it means, we have to consider that, because I think the CRCs, the way they're operating now, will change enormously over the next few years, and there is a government paper coming out shortly on re-looking at waste and the way waste is handled in the UK. So it gives us an opportunity to hear from people, understand people's views, and then we make a decision. But what I would just like to also say is that we have to accept that we've made 540 million savings over the last 7 years. And I think the real key was our income goes up by about 2.4% annually. But the demand of our services goes up by 6.5% a year. So we've got to bridge that gap somehow. So
you're saying if enough people complain, then these centres are safe, are they?
No, that's not. No, come on, that's not what I said. What I said, we want to hear, and David Hodge said exactly the same, and Andrew Povey said exactly the same. We want to hear people's views before any decision is made. And I want to stress, we want to hear, then we will make a decision, but no decision is going to be made until early next year after all the consultations are in, which I believe is the first week in January.
And Andrew Povey says it's actually all a false economy. It costs more for landfill rubbish than recycling.
No, what I would say is, Andrew, I heard Andrew say about one of the things he mentioned was that Cranley has a high recycling rate, and it does have a good recycling rate of 61%. But actually, if that recycling went up to 70%, which Andrew stated he set as a target, that would only save £5,000 a year. That's all.
So the cost for landfill isn't more than recycling then?
I didn't say that. What I said is the CRC percentage of recycling, if you went up to 70%, would save 5k. No, every single ton of landfill costs us considerably more than recycling. Absolutely right. And let's be fair about this. Surrey has the joint best recycling rates in the country of all county councils. So we've done a really good job at recycling, but we can and must do more.
Mike, thank you for your time this morning. That's Mike Goodman, Cabinet Member for Environment and Transport.